Hello there. This is the first time on my channel I usually review old type of animation, but this time is one of those segments fall to Forgottn Cartoons. And this segment I only focus on once a month. An anime series only lasted 1-2 seasons, maybe three depends how popular it is, and actually talk about it. But those cartoons must be sort of not as well known. That's the rules. And yeah, I'm looking around what to find this October, and I finally click Ruby Gloom. It's one of those anime series that only came out in Canada, never really getting out of their own country. Lasted 3 seasons and a total of 40 episodes. But Ruby Gloom is one of those series that is sort of very gothic inspired. It's something that's so dark, so kind of morbid, but at the same time very friendly. You're almost wondering this series made for a different demographic because back in 2001 was what created. That was the whole point because it was sort of a merchandise franchise focusing on selling merch to goth, but somehow like 4 years later they decided to drop the idea and focus on young children who were basically interested of the design a little bit more than gothic. But to be fair, the animation, all the character designs are just so appealing, so interesting, so dark. It almost feels Tim Burton designed the characters. He didn't, but it feels something would do. Now the whole show of Ruby Gloom is basically sort of slice of life cartoon. You follow Ruby and her friends and her daily life in a sort of dark, kind of forgotten mansion with the top of the hill, everything dark and gloom, and everything just sort of glorious because every design detail of this world, it's just interesting to see this sort of kind of gothic aesthetic because gothic aesthetic usually are very interesting look, especially if you know what you're doing. And this series know what he's doing because every little design, the house, inside the house, the cue cards, the characters, each actually have a lot of thought and detail. Something you can't stop staring and admire. It's just so great, but at the same time, almost soft enough for little kids to watch and not be scared. It's sort of they have to figure out where to go in the middle. In other words, that's why I really enjoy this series. It's just the art style. It's just so pop, so intriguing. You can't stop watching, especially how adorable the kids really are of this animation. Because some of the character designs feel something from Kraken, because it feels something like the Powerpuff Girls or a little bit inspired by Foster Mentionary Friends. But Meek and Burn decided to change the art style. That the bit describe how each character looks like in between those sort of ideas, and it works super well. On top of all this, it's one of the few anime series the music complement the animation because the music is sort of kind of jazz gothic, a little bit kind of like a rock punk kind of sound that it's just so well made and everything here the songs is just great, especially the intro. If I at least convince you do one thing, just watch the intro. The intro just so incredible, well made. It just wow, it really catch the feeling, sort of dread, but once more very happy kind of dread because this series meant for a young audience. So yeah, it's sort of surprising. You also sort of the sense of humor. It's a little dark comedy, not all of it. I mean, they attempted to make it sort of happy, but also be true to the roots of this sort of gothic aesthetic and sort of dark humor, especially some of the characters do I get later. But all of that, this show was just sort of surprising. Is it amazing? Well, it's the reason why the show didn't last that long for 3 seasons because some of the writing wasn't the best, especially the first couple episodes. They didn't improve, but once more, it still falls into sort of slice of life, sort of what we're gonna do next, what kind of fun activities, because the whole show is built on sort of Ruby living with her friends with this huge mansion and trying to have fun, in other words. But describe Ruby as a character, she is sort of, I want to say a blank slate. She is sort of the type of character. She's the leader type who has wise wisdom with her other friends, and that's pretty much it. I mean, she has her murmurs breaking that sort of archetype kind of type of character. When she's scared, she really is scared, or she happy. But once more, this is a family friendly show, so it makes sense the main character should be sort of a blank slate, so the kids can actually put themselves in her. But all of that, she's okay character. You also have other characters, or I feel a little bit more intriguing as her, like Doom Kitty, because Doom Kitty is a pet from Ruby, but Doom Kitty is sort of kind of traditional kind of cartoon character that she doesn't talk, she points, and her movements sort of describe what she's doing. Especially they use that sort of violent noise to hear her move. Every time she takes a step, you hear the violence walking back and forth to describe how she moved, or how she turned, or how she's applied. They use a different sound effect. But once more, she is basically a old cartoon character. But I really enjoyed that. But the only problem is because the animation is just so unique, and aesthetically they sort of have tried to kind of fully realize the character, because it's all about her reacting, her shape shifting, or pointing of different things to communicate. And I think that's one of the things that sort of fails a little bit a few episodes, especially with this character. But all of that, she is a wonderful character to look at. It feels super traditional as an old cartoon character. You have other characters like Skull Kid, that he is basically the artistic kid who like painting or understanding his past to understand who he is. He's sort of kind of okay character. He's not a strong one, but once more later on, they figure out what to do. They have a little fun with him. But all of that, he's not that deep as a character. But later on, you do notice how very friendly with Ruby really is with Skull Kid, because Skull Kid has some sort of emotion with her, but he doesn't get it. But once more, they never really deep dive the character that way. It just sort of hinted at. Now you also have other characters like Scaredy Bat. Scaredy Bat is what his name defines. He is scared, freaking out, really doesn't know how to react to things because he's just scared of everything. But later on, they tried to force him to be a little bit braver. But only problem is you have another character called Boo Boo, who is a ghost who cannot stop scaring him. But this is the interesting part. Boo Boo and Scary Cat, not Scary Cat, Scaredy Bat, they actually complement each other so well, because both of them are two extreme uh the either different sides. One is too scared, the other one needs to be scared. The reason why is because Boo Boo, that's his job. He's a ghost. This is the first time he's scaring people. It feels easier to scare a Scary Bat, but at the same time, he sort of falls to the habit to stop scaring him. He just pranking him. But because of this, he sort of fails doing his job and call attention to his teachers who teach him how to scare. The fact, if he doesn't do his job right, he especially gets fired. Worse, going back to school because he failed doing his job. But a little bit his teachers are basically mob bosses, but they are basically Mr. White and Mr. White. Some reason they have the same voices, the same names, but once more, I think this is sort of a reference for gangster films, especially Reservoir Dogs, because that's what they do at that movie. But I don't know, I love this. I really love Boo Boo because he's probably the most in-depth character of the whole group, because he needs to do his job, but he keep constantly failing. He's the only closest person can't scare is Scaredy Bat. And that's what I mean. They have this weird complementing each other, both characters. Now, the other one, I think the one who steals the show is Misery, and I think it's the favorite character of the writers because Misery has probably the best dialogue of the series, because she always sort of miserable, sad, but always trying to be happy and peppy. And this sort of weird mix make her very unique, especially how she always looks, she's crying. In fact, she kind of reminds me of the Llorona Mexican fairy tale that a woman drowned her kids because her selfish reasons, and now she regrets it, always crying the rest of her life to find dies. You maybe heard of her. She made a movie a long time ago, but once someone that sort of failed. But you get the idea. That's why she kind of reminds me, but a little bit more. But everything what she does, she walks, she sits, she cooks, it sort of goes completely wrong. They really was dedicated of the word misery. But what's more, she's always trying to be positive, but kind of sarcastic. But once more, it just this weird mix. It just worked 100%. I'm surprised she never was the main character or something like that, or her own spin-off series. But although that, she is probably my favorite character next to Boo. Now you have many other characters like Osiris the Cyclops. She is basically the adventurous group who never stopped adventurous. In fact, she has have sort of a problem not overdoing things because she usually does and makes a mess, and that's basically her character type because she doesn't have much to do. She has her moments, but I feel they didn't know what to do with her that much. But you have, I think, one more character that I forgot to mention will be Frank and Lynn. How to describe them is basically they're skateboarders, but rock punk. But one of them actually talks like Jack Nicholson. But the main stick of these characters, they're one is smart, the other dumb, but they cannot separate because they use the same body. They have a lot of ideas, but it kind of works. It's one of those that they say what you can do with this character is just see him clash. Because one's very intelligent who trying to explain the other one sort of too dumb or doesn't understand and they just go for it. And you have this sort of weird comedy combination just falls apart. But once more, that was the gimmick of these characters. Yeah, I feel it done well enough. It was kind of interesting, especially they chose a character who sounds something like Jack Nicholson. I don't know why they chose that, but I do enjoy that sort of kind of Jack Nicholson sort of vibe with the skater vibe, rock punk feel to it. It's weird, but it works. Now, there is one more character, especially Poe, reference of Sir Alan Poe, the guy who made the first kind of horror story in the West. Yeah, he is basically the bottoming of the author, but was more sort of exaggerated, sort of a diva who likes the attention, only focus on me, but at the same time he's sort of this sort of old elder who gives advice to Ruby, but at the same time she's not really advice because Ruby doesn't need it because she's wise. But once more, that's sort of the joke. Yeah, I do enjoy him. He's very little in the show, but he does deliver what he is. But that's basically all the other characters, at least the main characters. They have other side characters, but I decided not to because they are just the main focus. But all that, this series is okay series. It's very enjoyable, especially the art style. It's one of those things I kind of wanted if they decide to reboot the series. The reason why is because the series has so much potential. You can actually see it. The dark comedy, the art style, the music. It's something you have here can make it so much bigger. I think the reason why it wasn't grand success many other cartoons before it is partly just focused on Canada. They never actually distributed different countries. Maybe that's the reason. I really don't know. But it's one of those that it has potential, just need a chance, like another reboot or at least an animated movie to just test the water. But give it a good, decent budget and very a direction because in the series, it's a slice of life kind of show, but I feel they didn't know where to go. It feels that sometimes they wasn't experienced enough in the writer's room to understand what they wanted in the series. But once more, the series was good. There's some episodes you can see, yeah, they lack a little bit of experience here and there, but all of that, the series was pretty good, especially if you like kind of horror cartoons and sort of slice of life cartoons. I'm something I kind of recommend it. In fact, if you want to see it, you have all 3 seasons on YouTube, completely free. They're not pirated. It's from the original owners if you want to see it. But other than that, I can't say much because I did enjoy it. I feel it's a little bit too long for 40 episodes. I wish they cut it down to being 20. But once more, that's just me. I still enjoy it. I hope I have more merch later on this series, but other than that, I can't say much. I have one question. Do you remember Ruby Gloom? Do you forgot this exists? Tell me down below. Let me know. I really got nothing else to say. Just thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and have a wonderful day. Bye.